After a string of burglaries hit the neighborhood, I decided it was time to upgrade my home security. A smart doorbell camera seemed like the perfect solution. The box promised peace of mind, a digital eye on my doorstep. Installation was a breeze. I mounted it, synced it with my phone, and ran a quick test. The live feed was crisp, the wide-angle lens capturing my entire front porch. Perfect. I tweaked the settings, activating motion alerts for any activity after midnight. With that done, I felt a little safer, a little more in control. Little did I know, I wasn't securing my home. I was inviting something else in. That same night, I was drifting off to sleep when a sound jolted me awake. A faint, almost hesitant knock on the front door. Who could be here at this hour? My heart hammered against my ribs. Then my phone buzzed on the nightstand. A notification glowed on the screen. Motion detected at your front door. I grabbed the phone, my thumb hovering over the alert. I took a deep breath and tapped it, pulling up the live feed. My blood ran cold. The camera showed someone standing at my door just as I'd heard. But they weren't outside. They were inside my house, their back to the camera, gently knocking on the door from the inside. I froze, my eyes locked on the screen, then darting to my bedroom door, which was slightly ajar. I couldn't hear a thing now. Silence. It had to be a glitch, a bizarre software bug. I crept out of bed, my feet cold on the hardwood floor, and tiptoed to the living room. Peeking around the corner, I looked at the front door. Nothing. Just the familiar grain of the wood under the dim glow of the hallway light. I shakily pulled out my phone and replayed the clip. The figure on the screen was just a silhouette, but as it shifted slightly, the shape of its head, the line of its shoulders, it looked disturbingly like me. My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation, a reflection, a weird digital ghosting effect. It had to be a malfunction. There was no other possibility. My hands trembled as I grabbed a screwdriver and went to the front door. I didn't care if it was the middle of the night. That thing was coming down. I uninstalled the camera, disconnecting the wires and pulling it from its mount. Holding the small plastic device in my hand, it felt inert, harmless. I tossed it on the kitchen counter, determined to return it in the morning. For the rest of the night, every creak of the house made me jump. I barely slept. The next morning, exhausted but relieved, I decided to delete all the footage from the cloud before returning the camera. I logged into my account, ready to wipe the data, but something caught my eye. A separate folder, one I didn't create, was labeled Inside Motion. My heart skipped a beat. I never installed an indoor camera. What was this? Hesitantly, I clicked on it. There were dozens of recordings. My stomach churned. This wasn't a simple malfunction. Something was deeply, horribly wrong. My fingers shook as I selected the most recent clip. The screen flickered to life, showing a grainy, low-light view of my own living room. And there, in the center of the frame, stood the same motionless figure facing the front door. It was just standing there, an unnerving statue in the heart of my home. Then I saw the timestamp in the corner of the screen. It wasn't from last night. It was from the future. The glowing white text read, "Tomorrow, 12:43 a.m." It felt like a prophecy, a digital death sentence. The video was a recording of something that hadn't happened yet. That night was the longest of my life. The sun went down and the house was plunged into a suffocating darkness. I didn't turn on the lights. I sat in the living room, clutching a baseball bat, my eyes fixed on the front door. My phone was off. The doorbell camera was still sitting on the counter, unplugged. The minutes crawled by. 12:40, 12:41. My breath hitched in my throat. 12:42. Then, exactly as the clock on the stove ticked over to 12:43 a.m., it happened. A knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks that echoed through the silent house, exactly as I knew they would. I gripped the bat, stood up, and wrenched the door open. Nothing. The porch was empty. The street was deserted. A wave of confusing relief washed over me. Was it just a coincidence? A prank? Then a thought struck me. My phone. I had turned it off, but what if the app was still connected somehow? I powered it back on, my hands slick with sweat. The app opened automatically. The live feed was active. But how? The camera was unplugged. The The screen showed my front doorway just as I was seeing it now. But in the feed, I was still standing there, holding the door open, my digital self. As my real self backed away from the door, the figure on the screen remained. Then, with a chilling, unnatural slowness, it turned its head, its featureless face looking directly into the lens, directly at me. Panic took over. I scrambled for the doorbell, which was still on the kitchen counter. This had to stop. I wasn't just unplugging it from the wall. I was going to smash it. I picked it up, but the feed on my phone didn't cut out. It kept running. The figure, the other me, turned fully and began walking away from the door, deeper into the house shown on the screen. It moved with a smooth, gliding motion that wasn't human. It walked past the living room, heading down the hall. The last thing the feed captured before going black was a pale hand reaching out and covering the camera lens from the inside. I didn't sleep. The next morning, the sun brought no comfort. My phone, which I'd left on the nightstand, started buzzing relentlessly. Notification after notification flooded the screen. My heart sank as I read the titles. Inside motion detected. Inside motion detected. Inside motion detected. Every few minutes, a new one. With a sense of dread, I opened one of the clips. It was a view from my hallway, aimed at my bedroom door. The figure was standing there just outside my room. I clicked the next clip. It was closer, the next closer still. Each alert was a step, a slow, methodical approach. It was coming for me. The police report would later state that the front door was found wide open. The house was empty. My phone was discovered on the floor of the bedroom. The screen was on, displaying a live feed from the Doorbell camera app. The feed showed the house silent and still. For hours, the static image remained unchanged. Then, for just a second, a faint reflection materialized in the dark lens of the camera on screen. It was a face, my face. And from the phone's speaker, a soft, muffled sound could be heard, the sound of someone knocking.